Hi, welcome back to Comic Book Gallery. I'm your host, Joaquin. So it's Sunday, and it's going to be RPG Sunday. So, a continuation of the story I left off with Dungeons and Dragons. And this video will be a continuation of the adventure of Keep on the Borderland, which I will show you my raggedy copy. Because if you watched last week's video, you'll know that I said these were the first books pretty much I had when I was about the age of 7. That's when I was introduced to the game. And I have an idea for this project, and it's probably going to take me a year. So that's why I'm making these videos. I want to introduce people to this game. Now, this is the first edition, but I thought we'd start back from the very beginning. So you'd have a history of the game that really influenced a big part, well, not a big part, but a big part of fantasy. We'll say the fantasy world. And especially when it comes to RPGs, this is like the grandfather that really started it all. Now, there are some other ones before it, but this was the first one to like organize all its rules. So any game that you play of Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to only need 3 books to start out with: a Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Handbook, and a monster manual. You don't have to have a monster manual, but it will help. Now, if you buy an adventure, or what they refer to as a module, then you don't necessarily need a monster manual. But if you don't want to buy a module yet and you just want to create your own little fantasy world, then you're going to need all 3 of these books to play and some dice. And more importantly, some friends to have a good time with. So what's cool is each book breaks down the game for a specific player or person who's in charge of the game, which they refer to as the Dungeon Master. And really the Dungeon Master is just a narrator of a story that your players are the heroes of. So in a typical book, they will talk about spells, rules. They usually try to give a breakdown of an example of how to play the game, especially for new players. So I'll just read this little part right here, which I thought was interesting. So the DM says, so they've come to a cave, and he goes, "What are you doing now?" "Lighting our torches and going down the steps." So they found a dungeon, I'm sorry. And the DM's fine, but I'll need a marching order you'll be in. At this point, the players write down the names of the character with each respective rank, or place a painted miniature figure in actual formation. And you can add maps on the tables with dry erasers now, and you can start making the map as you go along, which is a lot of players do. And the DM will usually ask, like, what's the order of people, and the players here are saying that they want the gnome and the halfling in the front rank, and the magic user in the middle, and the human fighter and the cleric in the rear. That way they can all shoot over each other's heads. And then they start describing what they're going to do, walking down a hall, looking around, searching for areas. So I'm not going to go into it too much, but that's basically. They usually will have what's referred to as a magical item section, and they will break down all the descriptions of what these magical items do, whether they're armor or swords or potions. And some of them will even have charts to populate your world. You roll these random charts, and it will tell you what kind of creatures you can find. And it'll break it down to temperature and climate, like if you're in a forest region. Right here is tropical and near tropical conditions. The other book that you're going to need And I'm going to try to keep this a very short video. Uh, Once again, is a player's handbook. And from last video, like I said, the player's handbook gives a description of the races you can be and the type of classes you can play. From last week, that was a cool. Here's another little picture of a thief. And so think of Lord of the Rings. It's the best way to describe Dungeons and Dragons. In one sense, for those people who aren't that familiar with it. You know, you have wizards and they break down the spells, and once you get to a higher level. And the last book, but not the least, is the Monster Manual. Now, if I would have kept these books in pristine condition, or more importantly, didn't color in them, these books can fetch anywhere between $30 and $50 a piece. In this condition right here, if they were not colored in, I can probably get about between 10 and 20. But at this stage, because at the age of 8 and 9, when I'm starting to get markers and colored pencils, I just went crazy and started coloring everything. But I always did like the artwork with these books, and I was always fascinated with the description, what they did. You had a section on demons and the demon lords. I always thought they would look cool. Here's some other demons. So, and then they do a section on devils. But then I always thought their dinosaur drawings were kind of cool. I mean, if you look at the dinosaur drawings now, they're really simplistic. But to an 8-year-old, that was pretty cool. I think they have a T-Rex too. Yeah, they have a T-Rex, and they did a genie, and this is what I would end up drawing a lot in junior high and even in high school, just dragons. Can you guess what type of dragon this is? Or is this one? Just by looking at the color. So, and this was Tiamat. It's a 5-headed dragon. It's a platinum dragon. And they had gold. They had all the metals. You could even face up with the undead. Zombies. And I think they had a picture of Dracula too. A vampire. There we go. Oh, I thought that was a cool picture. So these are the 3 books that you need when you are getting into this game. And then after that, all you need are players. So the project that I'm currently working on, it's going to take me a while. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pull it off completely. But I want to start illustrating a story of let's see if I can get this. Illustrating a story of the adventures that I had with my friends. And I'm going to get in contact with some people that I actually ran this adventure. So I can get that better in focus. Where we can try to hash out some ideas. And I'm going to make this into a story. So I remember stating that I wanted to expand my horizons. Well, I want to create a story, and I thought I would do it using fantasy and, more importantly, Dungeons and Dragons, which is why I'm doing these videos. I'm kind of like just messing around and seeing what I can do and how to create a story and just taking it piece by piece. So I'm kind of bringing you along with the process. So the title of this video is going to be Creating My Own Dungeons and Dragons Story. So these videos are not going to be so much of how to play the game, what are the rules, what classes you should make. It's just going to be me. It's just going to be about the adventures that either I've been on as a character or that when I've been the dungeon master. So from last week, from Keep on the Borderland, we decided to go to the Caves of Chaos. And the first thing that we encountered was he read off this description, which they usually do at the beginning of an encounter. So it's like, the forest you've been passing through has been getting more dense, tangled, and gloomier than before. The thick, twisted tree trunks, unnatural, mishapen limbs, withering roots, clutching and grasping thorns and briars all seem to warn and ward you off. And they go into some more descriptive details, like you're going into a ravine, and there's all these caverns. So the first cavern that we actually went into was this layer of kobolds. Now, kobolds are these little creatures that look somewhat like a lizard, but they're really small. In fact, they're only like 3 feet tall, I want to say. And as we were approaching the cave, my party, which was me and my friend Jeff, or Joey, because the DM, which is his older brother, is Jeff, asked us to roll a dice. And we're like, why? He's like, oh, just gotta roll a dice to make a perceptions check. And we're like, why? Just to see if you notice anything. He's like, and once he said that, we're like, well, I draw out my sword, I do this. He's like, no, can't do that. That's not what I asked. So we made our perception check, and we didn't notice that these little crafty kobolds were up in the trees and hiding behind rocks, and they attacked us. So this is how the start of the story for the Keep on the Borderland, the Caverns of the Unknown starts off. So we go in through there, we fight off these kobolds, and we had hired some henchmen, some spearmen, so we had a party of 6. And we go through the first part of the cavern, and we meet up with the chief of the kobolds. And we're going through each room just like a dungeon / anything like you see in an arcade. Just go into a room, kill all the monsters, move on, kill all the monsters. Well, that's what we did. And they were slowly, some of the survivors, the people, or some of the kobolds that we're treating, would run back into the final cave. And so this is where we had our epic big boss fight with kobolds. And at the end, we had a little bit of treasure and was feeling good about ourselves. And the DM was saying, it's towards the evening. What are you going to do now? And we're like, well, maybe we should just camp in the cave, and then that way we can explore the other parts. So we did that. And sure enough, just like you see in the horror movies, where they always tell you, don't, why are you making that decision? Yes. So the surviving kobolds that we didn't kill, who had ran away, went and gathered allies. In this case, were goblins. And I'm going to leave it off there, people. I hope you enjoyed this part of the story and what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do. And if you're new to the channel, sorry, I just got lost in thought. This is, like I said, I've never done anything like this before. It's kind of exciting for me to start creating a story, and I'm going to start developing characters. I need to talk with a few friends who used to play with me and see if what stories they can remember. And I'm going to create these characters, and we're going to continue this adventure using those characters. So next week, hopefully I will have some character names and who they are and give a backdrop story. I hope you like what you see. If you do, hit the like button, leave a comment below if you remember playing this game. If you're interested in playing this game, you can always go to Wizards of the Coast website. They will find usually stores that host games and can find people. I'm pretty sure there are other type of Facebook groups and other things. I mean, it's really easy now. I mean, back in the days, when you met your friends, you just asked if they wanted to play. And if they did, cool. If not, then you went out and, shoot some hoops or play football or whatever. That'll do it, people. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. There's a link down below where you can hit me up on Instagram. I also sell comic books. I'm putting together dollar lots, and I have a couple of keys up there for sale too. So there's a link to my eBay. You can find me on Instagram. And also, I have a Patreon account. So if you would like to support my current project, which is ongoing. This is just something I'm doing on the side because I thought it'd be cool. I created a program where I'm teaching little kids from 1st through 3rd how to draw. So if you go to my playlist, you will see the Patreon videos. In fact, let me just pull this up. This is a lot. This video is going to take a little bit longer than I thought, but that's okay. Because there are a lot of projects that I have, and there's things I'm trying to create and do. So I'm right here on my site. So if you go to Comicbook Gallery Patreon and under the playlist, and you hit the playlist, and I'll be sure to mute this right now. And on the side here, you'll see. It'll be better if I show it with a pen. But there are lessons. I have to take these two off. I had these two for Patreon and exclusive only, but my goal is to teach kids how to draw, so I'm going to take these off. There will be other videos that will be exclusive to Patreon. My little cousin. She looks really tired. So I have a bunch of videos, so if you like what you see, you can support me that way. If not, I'll just show you this part right here. Gotta self-promote, people. Oh no, learning fundamentals, it doesn't have it. But there will be links onto the other videos. Let me click on this. God, that's 17 minutes. All right, here we go. So here we go. Patreon, Instagram, and eBay. So all you have to do is just click on that, and that'll do it, people. My schedule is Monday through Friday, comic book related videos, hence the name, Comic Book Gallery, a different way of looking at art. On Thursdays, I do Sketchbook Thursdays. On Saturdays, I'm really into the game Magic the Gathering, so I'll usually put Arena, and I'll show you, I'll be talking about topics as I'm playing the game and other things. And on Sunday, this is going to be my new project. So it's going to be RPGs, talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and creating story. So thanks for staying with me on this video. I know it's a little bit longer because I just exploded with ideas in my head, and that's how I pretty much operate. So I hope you guys are having a good week, and I'll just catch you tomorrow.